What's up, my ninjas? I am Corey from Super Comic Guru 9000, and welcome to my review of the newest episode of Boruto, Naruto, Next Generations, a super exciting episode which officially wraps up the first major arc of the series. We have Boruto and Mitsuki battling against the evil chimera beast, the Nue, and of course, its summoning master Sumire Kake, who ends up going from villain and turning into a very super endearing character. Now, first and foremost, let me just say I'm very excited because I am in New York fucking City. You see that skyline behind me? You see those buildings? That's the Empire State Building. The freaking Chrysler Building's right over there. This has been an amazing trip. I'm working on a documentary series and I've been traveling all over the place. And I've been to some amazing places before, but New York City is somewhere that I've never been to before, and it's just been awesome. I've loved every single second of it. Me and my friends actually just got back from a comedy club, the Cellar Comedy Club, where a lot of famous freaking comedians have actually made their careers and started there, and it was real fun. And I came back and I watched the brand new Boruto episode, and man, this was the cherry on top of the kick-ass sundae. If there's one thing that this episode of Boruto demonstrated for me, it's that the Boruto anime series is in good hands. Not only does it carry the spirit of the original Naruto anime series, but it's also paving brand new roads for it in the future. And this week's episode was, without a doubt, the best looking episode of the entire series. Some of the best action that I've seen from Naruto, period. And a lot of that, of course, is owed to the incredibly unique style of this episode. Our main characters got to travel to a dimension that is home only to the Nue itself, unlike the other summoned beasts from the series. And this overall environment was very dark and blue, and it had all of these giant hanging ropes and this massive tree. It was a great setting for an amazing battle, and most of this episode was devoted to both Boruto and Mitsuki going up against the Nue, the chimera beast, which, unlike when it's actually in Konoha Village or when it's actually in the real world, our current dimension, it's not like a massive kaiju monster. It shrinks down just a little bit, but the problem is it's even faster and just as powerful as it was before. But thanks, of course, to the resourcefulness of both Boruto and Mitsuki, they are able to best the beast. But before we even get there, let's just talk about that super slick, super awesome action scene, which just blew my mind with how amazingly well done it was. I especially loved the initial confrontation of Boruto going up against the Nue, utilizing his clones by sliding under its body, running onto its back, and even utilizing his Byakugan-esque eye to actually find its weak point, which hilariously enough is in its freaking ass. Yeah, it's pretty awesome. And then, of course, you had Mitsuki, who's been there the entire time, and he decides to help out his good old buddy Boruto, but mostly he's there to actually go after Sumire, who does reveal that she is there, she's still controlling the beast, and even threatens to overload it with all of her chakra so that this thing can just explode and annihilate everyone. It's just as exciting as hell, and her battle with Mitsuki is also just really impressive. It shows that, you know, despite the fact that Mitsuki comes across as like this super confident, overpowered ninja, that even he can be surprised a couple of times by her attacks, and watching them fly around and him summoning his snakes with their hand-to-hand combat honestly just pumps me up. You guys know that I'm an action junkie, and this episode freaking delivered on all of it. Now, of course, just like the original Naruto anime series, this one establishes that the main character is always looking out for his friends, his classmates, and his comrades, even ones that are incredibly downtrodden and seem to be going down the path of darkness. Case in point, Sumire Kake, who has certainly evolved from being just a Hinata clone. She actually has a surprisingly intriguing backstory, with, of course, her father being a member of the Foundation, and her mother basically being the only person who was keeping her sane. In fact, according to her, her mother actually died from stress because after the defeat of Danzo and the end of the Great War, everybody that was involved with the shadowy organization and the Foundation was actually removed from Konoha, and before her father left, she was actually implanted with the power of the Nue, and she's been carrying that with her her entire life, waiting for this moment to take down the village. And Mitsuki's entire plan during this battle is not only to kill Sumire, but actually to take that specific power, the one that is actually used to summon the Nue. However, because Boruto continues to be such a great influence on him, he actually allows Sumire to live and realizes that there's always another option, an option to save someone and not just fuck their shit up with frickin' shuriken. And that, my friends, is one of the backbones of the entire Boruto anime series, and of course ties it up perfectly with the original Naruto anime adaptation. Boruto knows that Sumire has done terrible things, but he also knows that a lot of it wasn't of her own volition. She's basically just trying to honor her parents, and at the same time is also afraid to let them down. That's why she's gone so far and going to basically trying to destroy Konoha Village. And of course, this is all sort of like mirroring the events of the original Naruto series, with the nine-tailed fox attacking the village and someone having to come to terms with this power that they have within them. Now, what I think is one of the biggest twists, of course, is that not only does Mitsuki actually agree with Boruto to not kill her, but the Nue itself is not actually all that bad of a monster. In fact, it actually has something of a big heart, actually telling Sumire, and maybe not outright loud, but basically getting very close to her, almost like a close pet, or even as a child, not wanting her to give up the last bit of her chakra so that it can explode and kill everything. Basically, it's begging for Sumire to keep her life, and of course for the Nue to stick around. And that's when everybody starts to become buddy-buddy. The problem is, things become all unstable and everything starts destroying and falling and crumbling, because that's what fucking happens when you beat the final boss of something. They end up making this quick escape where Boruto is able to utilize that weird Byakugan ability, and they're able to find this tunnel which leads them out of this dimension going into the real world, where seemingly the Nue is dead. However, when they arrive back at the real world, Sumire is immediately picked up by Sai. They have to question her because some serious shit has gone down. She's abducted and turned people into these weird freaky chakra ghosts, and there's a possibility that she might not even be in the series anymore, although I think if the ending is any indication, we're not going to see the end of Sumire quite yet. It is hinted that in the preview for the next episode, she is going to be transferred to some other academy or some other ninja school. It's kind of hard to say, but I really would like to see her character stick around, as, like I said, for me, she started out as sort of like a Hinata clone, the very timid, very shy girl who seemed to be seemingly obsessed with the main character of the series, and slowly but surely, she's turned into a surprisingly deep character with a great backstory and has connections to this weird, big, freaky monster. And speaking of the Nue again, according to Boruto, it looks like the Nue has survived, with a little bit of its chakra actually still existing within her. So I imagine we're going to see more of Sumire and, of course, the Nue in the future, which I think is awesome because who wouldn't want to have a giant frickin' monkey, tiger, tanuki, snake summon? Just saying that out loud sounds freaking awesome. So, what's the rundown on this week's episode of Boruto Naruto Next Generations? This was such a fantastic ending to an arc, and what I think I appreciated about it the most is that it didn't waste any time. It got right to the meat of it. We didn't have to go through a couple of episodes of bullshit. We got to the end of the story, it had a great conclusion, and now we can move on to another great addition to the series. Now, what I do find most interesting is that for the preview, again, it is going to be focusing on all of the students going back to class, Konoha Village going back to normal, and the possibility that Sumire is no longer going to be a part of the class or even with her classmates. And even the ending sort of hints that she is going to stick around, and I am interested to see how they're going to change the ending in the coming weeks, because a lot of the things that were shown in the ending were sort of reflective of what actually happened in this arc right here, and I'm guessing that maybe they're going to update it. Maybe this was one of those endings that is just singular, like it's only going to be applied to this arc right here, which honestly I think is really cool. It adds a lot of finality to this arc, and it just gets you pumped up to see what they're going to be adding in the next one of the series. But Sumire herself has definitely become one of my favorite characters, but without a doubt, again, I think the standout of this episode has to be Mitsuki, a character who has been so heavily influenced by Boruto since the beginning of the series that it honestly turns him into another great character. Again, a lot of people have made the comparison of Mitsuki basically being the next Sasuke of the series, and I'm glad that he's nothing like him. Of course, he is born from that snake bastard Orochimaru, but he's still carving out his very own path, and it's all thanks to Boruto showing them that there's a lot more way to do things than straight up just killing people. And something about that is very powerful, and it's translated very well into the series without being too preachy a lot of the times. And that's something that the original Naruto series was basically lambasted a lot for, because it did get really preachy. When Naruto got up on his fucking soapbox, he wouldn't shut up about it for like 10 episodes. But this one right here was self-contained. They did it all within a single episode. It felt fresh, it felt exciting, and unique, if anything. There's never been a battle like this in the Naruto series, and being in this weird, like, summoned dimension with all of these weird, crazy creatures. I really liked that. That and that combined, of course, with the production value of this episode just made this a real solid package. Not even just, like, the action scenes, which, like I said, speak for themselves and are freaking awesome with the hand-to-hand combat and Boruto fighting against this giant monster. Even the scene with him, like, coming up with his plan to destroy all of these ropes which are hanging above it that would come down and crush it, that was great. But when they actually go back to the real dimension where everybody actually lives in Konoha Village, you got to see, like, the sunrise and everything, and my god, did the backgrounds just look gorgeous. Freaking great. I absolutely loved it. This was a solid episode from beginning to end, which is totally worth your time, not only for the kick-ass action scenes, but for the great storytelling, and most importantly, for the great characterization. That was my biggest fear going into the Boruto anime series, is that this was all just going to be a carbon copy of things that we've seen before, and these were just going to be younger versions of characters that we've already seen. Naruto Muppet babies, if you will. But no, it has broken the mold. It is changing things up, and yet still being a continuation of a series that I think, honestly, a lot of people love, despite the fact that Naruto does catch a lot of flack from people. And honestly, as a hardcore Naruto fan, I couldn't be happier. And that's also what I love right now, because, you know, a couple years ago, the Naruto manga ended, and then we knew the anime was eventually going to come to an end, and it took a long fucking time to get there. But finally, here we are. We have a sequel, and I don't feel tired yet. I don't feel annoyed that the story is being stretched out. I'm excited to see what the future is going to bring. There's a potential for Boruto to not only go longer than Naruto, but possibly even eclipse it. And that, my friends, is something to very much look forward to. And this was an anime original only arc. Like, this is something that didn't exist in manga form. We haven't seen an anime version of this, no movie shit. This was all unique, created by the creators, and it was fucking awesome. That's something to really look forward to, because it's letting us know there's going to be more stuff like this in the future. Yes, there are plenty of one-shot manga and manga things to adapt from, but if they continue to create unique and original stories with these characters within the anime version and still make it, like, work with the other anime and manga adaptations, then I honestly think, guys, we could be looking at one of the best parts of the Naruto franchise. We just have to wait and see how it's going to ripen. What I will say is, this episode freaking rocked. I'm giving it a 5 out of 5, my highest recommendation, and I highly recommend that you all check it out. If you did watch this episode, please tell me what you thought about it in the comments section below. Were you gelling on this episode as much as I was? Did you get really excited over the action scenes? What do you think about the great characterization from Mitsuki? And what do you think about Sumire? Is she going to be returning? Is she going to be a mainstay of Konoha Village? Or are they just going to ship her off to some other ninja village where we'll occasionally see her in a cameo? Do you hope to see the return of the Nue? And what do you want to see from the next big story arc of Boruto Naruto Next Generations? Thank you all so much for joining me on this kick-ass New York City-styled review of Boruto. Make sure to subscribe to the channel for all things Boruto anime and manga related. And like I said, please leave me a comment telling me what you thought about this episode. And of course, make sure to like this video. I'd really appreciate it. It's super easy to do, and it helps out our videos a ton. Thank you all again for watching. Take care, and as always, stay dandy, baby.